Thanks for tuning into this TV20 news special. I'm your host, Ciarra Nelson, and today we're talking about workplace violence. It's no laughing matter. And here my guests are managing partner of Edge Learning Ohio, Paul Meshanko, and also Tom Green. He's the vice president of Medical Mutual. Welcome, and thank you for being here at TV20.
Thank you.
Now, I just want to start off, workplace violence. A lot of people may think that, oh, that's not an issue, or don't want to watch. Well, make sure you watch, because this is becoming a very costly epidemic in America. For example, I'll just start off with some of my research. I've learned that 3 out of every 4 American workers describe their workplace as stressful. And it also, workplace stress costs the U.S. employers an estimated $200 billion per year in absenteeism, lower productivity, staff turnover, worker compensation, and much, much more. So talk about this workplace violence.
Tom, you want to start?
Well, it's kind of interesting. At Medical Mutual, we've not experienced extreme situations involving workplace violence. Occasionally we'll have a little squabble here and there, but I think for us the real focus has been trying to get ahead of it and focus in on those things that can help us identify what it takes to create a really positive work environment. And given a positive work environment, we really hope we can avoid workplace violence.
We typically engage 2 types of clients in our work. Those who, like Medical Mutual, are being very proactive and trying to create climates where you're probably very unlikely to ever have an issue of workplace violence and actually decreased levels of stress because of relationships in general. The other kind of client we will get calls from are those for whom we say the horse has already gotten out of the barn. Someone has perpetrated some type of issue of disrespectful behavior, sometimes physical in nature, sometimes verbal, and there is corrective action that's required. And that's, I think, a lot of what you're referring to is some of those, and we define hostility or violence very broadly. Violence or hostility is any activity that is intentionally harmful to other members of your organization, whether it's harmful.
Doesn't have to be physical.
Doesn't have to be physical. It can be harmful emotionally, psychologically, or even reputationally. Any energy that is spent trying to harm other members of your organization, I think you could call workplace violence.
Yes. I mean, there are situations that occasionally involve bullying and that sort of thing where there are interventions that are required. And I think, though, we've been working with Paul and Edge Learning, trying to really focus in on what we believe is a critical piece of creating that positive work environment that avoids bullying and that sort of thing. And that really focuses on respect. That's been a cornerstone for all of our activities really over the last, I would say, year or so. We have done a lot of, I don't want to call them interventions, but surveys followed up by learning initiatives and that sort of thing. What we were finding was we were trying to be all things to all people, and working with Edge Learning, we've really focused in on respect as kind of the fundamental, if you will, of what we need to establish within our work environment that we really think fosters those positive relationships.
Sure. You know, the nice thing about respect is that you don't have to explain it to everybody. We work globally with companies on 5 different continents. And the nice thing is that no matter what your language or what your gender or what your ethnic background, everybody understands what respect feels like. And typically everybody knows what disrespect feels like also. So by really focusing on creating a climate that is consistently perceived as being respectful has just almost limitless upward impact on your productivity as an organization.